What I learned from seeing my investment in ICHI go from $141 per coin to $1 per coin. I learned nothing. I learned nothing because I bought more. So that's what this video is about. I want to go over what happened and what you can expect in the future. Like, is ICHI a scam? No, it's not. It is a victim of over leveraged trading because a lot of people were staking their ICHI as XICHI. They were depositing it into a fuse pool on Rary Capital, and then they were borrowing against that. You could borrow up to 85% of the value of those coins, and the interest rates were insane. People were just over leveraging their positions, and the liquidity dried up. So that's why we saw the price pump. And once the price started going down, cascading liquidations. That means someone over leveraged themselves, their position had to get liquidated, those tokens that they staked were sold off, that dropped the price of the coin, and then the next person who also had a leverage position got their token sold off as well. So it was just a cascading effect of liquidations. And that's why the coin price dropped so much. But also, that's partially why the coin went up so much in price too. A lot of people were leveraging their positions with the limited liquidity out there, the demand for the coin, the price kept going up. And that's what happened with ICHI, and we're going to look into it a little bit deeper and get a fundamental understanding of what's going on so you know what to look out for in the future, and now I know too. So yeah, let's just get this video started. And I'm making this video just because I want you to understand what happened. I don't want you to think that I promoted a scam. This was a legitimate project, and it still is, and will continue to do so. So I just wanted to get that all out there. It was very stressful seeing the price drop so much because I had a leverage position too in Rary Capital, and that went to zero. So I lost a lot out there, but it felt even worse that I made a video. People may have potentially invested. As I always say, not financial advice. I just want to draw attention to projects building in the space with an actual business model. And in a way, I also felt those losses not just financially, but just because I made content about it. Now, I still like what ICHI is doing, so that's why I want to dive deeper into what happened so you can understand it too. Now let's take a look at Rary Capital, and this is my supply balance, $9, and a borrow balance of $9,000. Now that typically isn't possible, but the value of the coins I staked went down significantly while I was paying a super high interest rate, and a lot of the value I had locked up was liquidated. So that happened, and if I want to get that $9 back, I have to pay back $9,000. I'm not going to pay it back. And here in this pool on Rary Capital, people were putting up their XICHI as collateral, or just ICHI too, and they were borrowing against it. This allowed them to leverage their positions, they would borrow more, and you could do that up to 88%, but at the time it was 85%. So that is LTV, loan to value. That is the ratio they can borrow. You put up $100. If the LTV is 88%, you can borrow up to $88, but you have to consider the interest rate. If it goes over that LTV, you start getting liquidated. So that's what happened. People over leveraged their positions. Once the price started going down, they would get liquidated. And then if that price dropped more, then the next person would get liquidated. So that's why we saw these cascading liquidations. And if you look at the verified pools on Rary Capital, these fuse pools, you can see the other pools available. I just kept saying pools. All right, so you can see in Fay Rary, total supplied $400 million, total borrowed $31 million, and it's pretty common to see a small amount borrowed versus the amount supplied. And with ICHI at the moment, there is still a lot being borrowed, $71 million, while there is a total supply of $75 million. So for the time being, the price of ICHI seems to have hit its very bottom. So you can see here it is at $9.76, And over the past week, it went from about, a peak of $145 down to $1.70, and now it's back to $9.76. Up, revising that so you can actually see that price. Yeah, it's at $9.75. Potentially, there could be more liquidations as people are still paying interest on their loans, but I think the worst is behind us. But I also had something to say, so if you follow me on Twitter at FullValueDan, I explained the situation, and at the time I had a supply of 623x ICHI. Obviously the balance dropped with the price, and then the borrow balance too, as my position got liquidated due to the LTV not being able to cover my borrowed balance. So I explained what happened there, but it was very helpful to see what other people thought too and their responses. So Jack Longarzo, he's one of the team members at Rary Capital. So his explanation helped me out a lot too. It looks like Fuse Pool 136, managed by ICHI Foundation, pool has some bad debt. So I decided to take a look at what went wrong. The teams that create pools tune the parameters of the pool themselves, and each pool has an isolated set of risks. This can make it difficult to navigate risk, but effectively doing so can be very profitable. In this situation, there were plenty of red flags. The ICHI team set an aggressive collateral factor of 85% on ICHI and allowed hundreds of millions of dollars to be used as collateral. When the price began to decline, there was insufficient DEX liquidity to support liquidation, so that's why we saw that massive drop. A collateral factor of 85% is extremely high. Additionally, the team didn't use supply caps and allowed an infinite amount of ICHI to be used as collateral. This allowed ICHI holders to borrow extensively against uncapped collateral. So let's say, for example, you had $100 and you could borrow 85% of that. So you have $100, you borrow 85, and then you deposit that 85 back into the pool. Now you have $185 in that pool. You could borrow 85% of that $85. So let's say you can borrow $75. You borrow $75, you deposit that back into the pool, and now you can borrow $68. So you borrow that, you deposit it back into the pool, and now you can borrow $60. So that is the over leverage side if you went full degen on this. So just an example of, yes, you have some money, and if you want to take on a lot of risk for a lot of profit, you can do that, but sometimes it turns out very badly. Highly leveraged positions couldn't be closed, thus the pool was left with bad debt. As a user of Fuse, if you see collateral in a pool significantly in excess of what can be liquidated, this is a red flag. Cascading liquidations can cause the price to decline quickly, dry up the liquidity, and leave the pool with bad debt. The ICHI team had a few options to prevent this outcome. First, they could have set a safer collateral factor, and instead of reading all of that, we can just jump forward into the future and look at ICHI's response to the events of what happened. So basically, the resolution to all of this, they removed the option to borrow ICHI. So you can no longer get into this situation where you can borrow and borrow against your position, drying up liquidity, causing cascading liquidations. That may sound like some unfamiliar terminology if you're not used to DeFi, but basically, the bad things won't happen anymore. So that's what happened. That's the resolution. I've been following the situation, and I think it's resolved. Not financial advice if you decide to jump in more, but I just wanted to address the situation and let everyone know what's going on if you did decide to invest. So that was a pretty rough day for ICHI holders. Now, I am still pretty bullish on the project. I invested more just because I lost everything I did invest, and that isn't any financial advice. I believe in the team, but they might have to struggle for a while to rebuild their reputation because, if people think it was a rug pull, other projects aren't going to want to work with them. And it wasn't a rug pull. It was a situation where they were a victim of over-leveraged positions. And to prevent that in the future, you can't over-leverage your ICHI position anymore. So that is what happened. That is the news with ICHI, and I hope you found this helpful. If it did, you can hit that like button. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that'll be cool, or just chat in the Discord. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got your full value for today.